Across the world, hidden beneath layer of time, lies markings that defy logic. Some are over 8,000 years old, others just 900 years. Different civilizations, different continents, yet the same designs. The Nazca Lines in Peru, perfect geometric shapes stretching for miles. The Sahota lines in Bolivia, thousands of straight paths leading nowhere. The Amazon geoglyphs, hidden beneath dense jungle, waiting to be found. The Maharashtra geoglyphs in India, massive human-like figures unknown to history. The intaglios in North America, colossal symbols forgotten in the desert. Lines carved into earths, patterns that span continents, forms that could only be understood from the sky. But why? If they were mere religious symbols, why make them so massive? If they were star maps, why do they appear all over the world? And if these civilizations were never connected, how did they create the same thing? Some believe they were celestial calendars, others ritual pathways. But what if they were something more? A forgotten language, a message to the sky, or a response to something that was already watching? Because the deeper we look, the more impossible this mystery becomes. And the answers? They are hidden in the lines. For centuries, the Nazca Lines remained hidden in plain sight, blending seamlessly into the arid desert. No ancient texts mention them. No records explain their creation. To those who walked across the dry landscape, they were nothing more than shallow grooves in the earth. But that changed in the 1920s. When exploring the region, Peruvian archaeologist Toribio Mejia Zepe noticed something unusual. Patterns too straight, too precise to be natural. Locals dismissed them as old roads or irrigation channels, but he suspected otherwise. For nearly a decade, his theory was ignored. Then the 1930s brought an unexpected revelation. Pilots flying over the Nazca Desert began reporting something incredible. Massive geometric shapes and animals, so large that they could only be seen from the sky. The first to document was an American historian, Paul Kosok. In 1939, while flying over the region, he spotted a perfectly straight line cutting across the desert. As the sun began to set, it aligned directly with the winter solstice. This was no coincidence. Enter Maria Rai, a German mathematician and archaeologist. The moment she saw the lines, she was captivated. She spent the rest of her life trying to unlock their secrets. But the more she studied them, the stranger they became. Beyond the lines, some shapes stood massive. Massive depiction of animals, so precise they defied explanation. The hummingbird stretching nearly 300 feet. Its wings perfectly symmetrical. The monkey, its curled tail mirroring spiral seen in ancient calendars. The spider, crafted with such anatomical accuracy that it matched the ranunculus spider, a species found only in the Amazon rainforest 400 miles away. How did the Nazca people know? And why carve it into the earth on such a massive scale? Then came the real shock. Many of these formations aligned with solstice, lunar cycles, and star constellations. Were these astronomical markers a primitive observatory or something even more mysterious? The Nazca Lines weren't just random sketches. They were deliberately crafted to be seen from above. But the question remains, who were they meant for? And more importantly, were they ever meant for human eyes at all? As we began to decode these ancient symbols, something strange happened. The Nazca Lines are not alone. Scattered across the world in places where no known civilization should have had the means to create them, other massive geoglyphs emerge. Some are thousands of years old, others carved centuries later, yet identical in design. And now with LiDAR technology, we are revealing what was never meant to be seen. Not new discoveries, but ancient secret hidden for millennia. Deep within the Amazon rainforest, where dense vegetation has concealed the land for thousands of years, archaeologists made a chilling discovery. Beneath the endless green canopy, enormous geometric formations were found. Perfectly straight lines, spirals, and symbols stretching across miles of untouched land. Some date back to 3000 BCE. But here's where it gets even stranger. The Amazon and the Peruvian desert are worlds apart. The civilizations that lived there were never supposed to have met, yet the patterns are the same. But this was just the beginning. In the Bolivian highlands, LiDAR scans uncovered the Sajama Lines, a network of nearly 16,000 perfectly straight paths, crisscrossing over 22,000 square kilometers. Some of these lines stretch for over 20 kilometers, cutting through mountains, rivers, and valleys without a single deviation. But the most unsettling part, they lead nowhere. No settlements, no structures, no clear purpose. Just endless, flawless lines as if guiding something or someone across the land. Well, the estimated age? At least 3,000 years old, and some possibly older. Then, in Maharashtra, India, came another shock. In 2022, archaeologists uncovered what is now considered India's largest geoglyph discovery. Nearly 260 massive formations, spirals, maze-like patterns, humanoid figures spread across a barren, isolated plateau. Some stretch over 200 meters in length, eerily resembling designs found in Nazca and the Amazon. But the real mystery? These geoglyphs are between 900 and 2,000 years old, separated by thousands of miles and centuries from their South American counterparts. And yet, they follow the same mysterious design principle. Straight lines that serve no clear function. Geometric shapes only visible from the sky. A precision that seems impossible for the time. Across the ocean in California's desert, the mystery deepens. The Belait intaglifs, believed to be between 900 to 1,000 years old. They depict massive humanoid figures. Their origins? Unknown. Carved directly into desert floor. They resemble the same sky-oriented geoglyphs seen across the world. But oldest discovery of all in the deserts of Jordan and Saudi Arabia. Aerial photography uncovered a series of massive geoglyphs, some dating back 8,000 years. Known as the desert kites, these formations span hundreds of meters, feature interconnected straight lines, and were only identified through aerial technology. And yet, they share the same impossible characteristics as Nazca, the Sajama Lines, and the Amazon geoglyphs. Why? Why do the same geometric designs appear in Amazon, the Peruvian desert, the Indian subcontinent, and the North American plains? Why do they defy erosion, withstand time, and remain untouched as if they were built to last? Coincidence, or were these marking part of something bigger? For generations, experts have searched for answers. Some believe these geoglyphs were celestial calendars, mapping the movement of sun, moon, and stars. Others suggest they were ritualistic pathways, where ancient people walked in sacred ceremonies, honoring their gods. But here's where things get even stranger. In every region where these geoglyphs exist, local legends tell early similar stories. Stories of gods, sky beings, and celestial visitors who once walked the earth. The deeper we look, the more we realize that these lines aren't just markings, they are messages. But messages from whom? Across the world, civilizations left behind myths, stories of sky gods, divine visitors, and knowledge passed down from above. And here's the real mystery. Each culture that created these massive geoglyphs tells the same story, despite being separated by thousands of miles and entire oceans. Could all of these legends be coincidences, or were they describing something very real? In Nazca, Peru, the ancient people worshipped a god who descended from the sky, shaped civilization, and then mysteriously vanished. Some legends claim the Nazca lines were carved into the desert to guide his return. And deep within the Amazon rainforest, indigenous tribes tell stories of star beings who descended from heaven, taught their ancestors agriculture, and then disappeared without a trace. Some elders believe the geoglyphs hidden beneath the jungles were left behind as markers, reminders of celestial visitors who once walked the earth. In Bolivia, where the Sajama lines stretch endlessly across the highlands, the Aymara people tell a story when gods walked among them. These lines, they say, were not simple pathways, but routes for spirits or even celestial travels. Thousands of miles away in Maharashtra, India, massive geoglyphs of humanoid figures and intricate spiral patterns remain one of Asia's greatest mysteries. According to local folklores, these symbols weren't made by ordinary humans. They were left by divine beings with knowledge beyond understanding. And what's even more settling, some ancient Hindu texts reference flying machines and wars fought between celestial beings, battle between the Devas, the divine entities, and Asuras, lower beings, spanning multiple dimensions. Were these geoglyphs more than just artistic impressions? Were they records of something real? Meanwhile, across the ocean in North America, the Mojave tribe believed the Blythe in Tagalus, massive human-like figure carved into the deserts, were made by their ancestors to depict sky gods who once visited the earth. Different lands, different civilizations, yet the same recurring theme. Beings descending from the sky, imparting knowledge, and then vanishing. But if these were just myths, then why would these lines match? Mainstream historians and archaeologists have spent years trying to explain these geoglyphs. Their theories? Simple. Some believe the Nazca Lines and other formations were astronomical calendars, aligning with solstice and star positions, helping ancient people track celestial events. Others suggest they were sacred pilgrimage paths, used in religious ceremonies, where people walked for miles in worship for their gods. In some cases, archaeologists have found pottery fragments and artifacts near these sites, leading them to believe that these locations were places where ancient people left offerings to deities. But here's where these explanations start to fall apart. If they were ritualistic pathways, why make them only visible for the sky? If they were astronomical markers, why do nearly identical formations appear across continents with completely different astronomical viewpoints? And if they were just cultural expressions, why do they follow the same level of mathematical precision despite civilizations having no contact? At some point, coincidence stops being an answer. Because what if these geoglyphs weren't just random religious symbols? What if they were part of a global language, a message left behind for something or someone? If we step beyond controversial explanation, we are left with three unsettling possibilities, each one more mysterious than the last. What if these geoglyphs were not isolated creations of different cultures, but the remnant of a global civilization, a civilization that existed before recorded history, one that was advanced in mathematics, astronomy, and mapping the earth, and one that vanished, perhaps through a cataclysmic event, an ancient war, or a forgotten disaster. If such a civilization once existed, then these lines could be the last surviving piece of the knowledge. Could the Nazca Lines, Sajama paths, and the Maharashtra geoglyphs have once been part of a vast mapping system? Were they landmarks, navigational guides, or warnings left behind from those who came after? And if so, who were they trying to warn? Or what were they trying to prevent? For centuries, ancient cultures described gods descending from the sky. But if we strip away religious interpretation, what are we left with? Gods arriving from above, extraterrestrial visitors, divine knowledge passed down, advanced technology or scientific influence, myths of their return, a promise or a warning. The Nazca Lines, with their runway-like structures, have long made people wonder, were they created to signal something above? The Sajama Lines, stretching for miles in perfect formations, resemble modern navigational grids. The Maharashtra geoglyphs, depicting humanoid figures, look eerily similar to ancient depictions of celestial beings. If civilization across the world were carving messages into the earth for something in the sky, Then who? Or what? Or what were they trying to reach? And more importantly, did they ever get an answer? But here's where things even take a stranger turn. What if these lines weren't just messages, but something more advanced? A forgotten science, one that we no longer understand. Some researchers believe geoglyphs resonate with Earth's energy field, almost as if they were part of a global system. Many are located near telluric currents, natural electromagnetic pathways within the Earth. Some of the longest straight line formations resemble ancient ley lines, believed to carry energy across the planet. Could ancient civilizations have known how to harness these forces? And if so, were these lines marking energy hotspots, or were they activating something bigger, something we can't yet comprehend? The deeper we look, the more impossible this mystery becomes. And the answers, they are still hidden in these lines. For centuries, one question has lingered just beneath the surface of human history. Were the gods of ancient civilizations truly divine, or were they something else entirely? Because when we strip away religious interpretation and examine these legends through the lens of modern understanding, a pattern begins to emerge. A pattern that suggests that these weren't just spiritual entities, but something more tangible. The Sumerians spoke of Anunnakis, celestial beings who descended from the heavens and played a direct role in shaping human civilization. Ancient Hindu texts described Vimanas, flying chariots that moved between worlds, their technology far beyond anything humanity could have possessed. The Hopi tribe of North America tells story of star people, beings who came from the sky, imparted knowledge, and then disappeared without a trace. And in Peru, the Nazca Lines worshipped Viracocha, a god who arrived from the sky, changed the world, vanished, promising to return. 4 civilizations, 4 separate corners of the world, and yet the same story. Beings who descended from above, beings who brought knowledge, shaped humanity, and then disappeared. Are these simple primitive myths, or are they distorted memories of real encounters? Because if civilization across different continents were carving massive symbols into the earth, symbols that could only be understood from above, could it be because someone was already watching? Now let's step even further. What if these so-called gods weren't divine at all? What if they were extraterrestrials, mistaken for deities by civilizations that couldn't comprehend the technology they were witnessing? Think about it. They arrived from the sky, spacefaring visitors. They possessed superior knowledge, advanced technology. They were called creators, genetic manipulation. They vanished, promising return. Did they leave, or were they erased from history? Many mainstream scientists reject this idea, calling it pseudoscience. But let's look at the numbers. The Drake equation, a formula used to estimate the probability of alien civilizations in the universe, suggests that there could be millions of intelligent life forms. And the odds that Earth was visited in the past, much higher than 0. Because if an advanced species did make contact thousands of years ago, guiding early human civilizations, how else would ancient humans describe them, except as gods? Here's where things take an interesting turn. 2 of the world's oldest civilizations, Sumer and India, describe something eerily similar. Both speak of celestial beings descending from the heavens, shaping human destiny. Both tells of wars between gods fought with flying crafts and devastating weapons. Both contain stories of genetic manipulation, the creation of human beings in the image of these beings. The Sumerians called them Anunnakis. The Hindus called them Devas. But were they actually different beings, or were they different cultures describing the same phenomenon? If there's even a 1% chance that these stories hold some truth, then we have to ask, are the lost geoglyphs proof that these beings were once here? Were they marking the earth for something? And most importantly, are they coming back? If we dismiss these ancient connections as mere coincidence, then we remain in the dark. We assume that ancient people were primitive, unconnected, and superstitious. But if we dare to question mainstream history, if we acknowledge the global pattern, the myths, and the impossible precision of ancient structures, then we must ask, Did our ancestors create these lines on their own? Or were they guided by something beyond human understanding? And if they were waiting for something to return, what happens if it finally does? Do you want a video on Anunnaki and Hindu gods? Were the Hindu pantheon and the Anunnaki connected? Are the flying Vimanas and Sumerian spacefaring deities part of the same story? Could the truth about our past be more shocking than we ever imagined? Comment below if you want a full video exploring this theory. And like and share this knowledge as much as possible. And subscribe to our channel because this is just the beginning. And remember, sometimes the truth is stranger than history itself. This is Harry signing off. Stay curious.